Yo, episode 82 of the COD. We are back. Got you boys, Ryan and Gordo. Or should I
Let's
say
get it.
C Gordo? But you know what it is. Um, Paul a little busy today, so he gonna be back next week and whatnot when we get back on schedule. But the summer's still winding down, so we got a lot of schedule changes and whatnot, switching days of recording and things like that. But it's been a eventful week to say the least out there. So where do we start? Do we start in a serious topic, or do we start them off with something like
I said we might as well just say RIP,
for sure?
have a
R.I.P.
moment of
PNB,
silence.
PNB Rock. Quick moment of silence. All right.
Yeah, but man,
So
that's crazy.
about this situation, so like it's been a lot. It's been a lot. So like if anybody did not know yet, PNB Rock, is he a
There's Casey
rapper?
Dashes
Is he
out
a
there.
singer? I would just say I guess Philly hip hop artist, PNB Rock, but he had recently moved to LA. He was kind of in, I don't know if this is really pertinent to the situation, but he wasn't like necessarily like signed at the time, so he wasn't at like the peak of his career, let's
Yeah,
say.
so he was doing independent. Yeah,
Right, he might have been working on some other things, but he wasn't necessarily like the hottest rapper at the time and things like that. But other than that, I mean, he went to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, famous restaurant in LA, and he went to the location that's in South Central. So South Central is not the best neighborhood out there. I guess he drove up there in his Bentley. He was wearing his chains. A lot, and then also, his girl had posted on Instagram that they were there, and she had tagged Roscoe's, and which a lot of people are criticizing her for because shortly later, I guess he was only in there for like 30 minutes. Some people rushed in to rob him of his jewelry and still shot him. So he did not make it. He passed. But yeah, it's been a lot of analysis. It's been a lot of analysis this week. So kind of like, where do you stand on this situation? Because it's like two sides right now. It's either people are like,
um,
it's just the robbers, and then other people are really going in on his girlfriend for tagging the location.
honestly, like, cause the thing is, me personally is just like niggas. Just like I don't understand why niggas like, but it's like niggas don't always rob. Like that's just a way of. I guess it's just a way of life at this moment. But it's just like those niggas need to be held accountable and um it's just like the actions, they really just it's like it's unacceptable. Like y'all really killing people over materialistic things.
Right,
'Cause it's just like how much money you really gonna get for that chain
right. And then
on
another
top
thing
of
is
that.
a lot of these rappers' chains are distinct. So it's
Yeah,
like when you take the chain somewhere, it's almost like a complete admission of guilt. Like, how'd you get that
exactly.
chain? So were
Exactly.
you were you were you were you the guys the one involved? I can see you sell a chain, maybe like a watch or something, but when you get that pendant, how does
Yeah,
that work? Like, are you able to
exactly.
extract those diamonds or melt it down? So
And
it's
so yeah, and
it's
it's just
yeah,
like I say, it's just like it's really unacceptable. Like y'all killing people over materialistic things for a couple $1,000 that you gonna blow through. And
right,
then it's just and then it's just like me personally, like even in with the girlfriend situation, like the thing is there was already a robbery attempt, I think, earlier before this one. And so it's like she should have known like to just be a little bit more cautious. And me
right,
personally, it's just like I tell people, like if you can't be with nobody that you can't post your location with, you shouldn't be with them, you know?
right,
And then it's just like me personally, like if I know I'm constantly niggas trying to rob me, I'm not finna just be going to sit in Roscoe.
right.
Like that shit can be Uber Eats or somebody can go pick that shit up.
Hmm.
Like it's just like better decisions just needed to be made in this situation. But like I say, it's just like niggas just gotta get out of this way of life of just robbing niggas for materialistic things. Like a lot of like I say, people work hard for their shit. And it's
Right,
just like, and it's just like, not to say that like most people go, like, not to say he was willing to die for his shit, but it's just like people not really willing to give up something that they've worked hard and they like to get.
Right, right. And they
And
should be able to work, they should be able to do what they want with their money. A lot of people
exactly.
are like, well, you drove there in a Bentley or you wearing your chains. It's like, all right, cool, but so what?
So
Like
what?
and when they say these people are starving, it is true. We are in tough times out here. And I hear a lot of people say that PPP money. First off, a lot of people shouldn't even have got PPP money.
And that's what I'm
So,
saying. And, it's, and maybe that is a cause and effect thing, like people trying to get back to a lifestyle that they originally wasn't having. But it's just like the unemployment that ran out, the motherfucking PPP
mhm,
loans gone. It's just like go back to your way of living,
right,
you know. And it's just like, yeah, it's like you should have did better with your money, but it's like robbing somebody and killing them for their shit not gonna create a better investment for you. You
right.
feel me?
Because think about this, right? Another thing is they say he had $100,000 worth of jewelry on. So you get that jewelry, and like we said, it's going to be hard to sell the pendant, things like that. Maybe you can sell a few items here and there, but who says that somebody else is not looking for, or people aren't got their eyes on the specific pieces that he has? And then when you go and do sell it somewhere, how do you know you're getting top dollar for whatever you're selling? So are you gonna really walk away realistically with 100,000, or are you gonna end
Exactly.
up
Like that's
with,
what I'm saying. Cause it's like think about it,
yeah,
you're not even gonna be able to go sell that shit immediately. So it's just like
all right,
it's already hot. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's just like a situation where I'm just like it niggas just gotta grow out of that man state that they can rob and kill people and just be and, and, and that shit okay. You feel me?
all right,
But I feel like that's just like a lot of people say like that's the culture of music that motherfuckers perpetuate. Like we
all
listen to
right.
that shit all the time. Like so motherfuckers feel like that shit's
And
okay,
was he
but
really like a gangster rapper like that? Like
I
I
don't
feel
think
like
he really
he,
was like
yeah,
me personally. I don't think he was a gangster rapper. I just feel like he was just more one of those people that used like that was more
close to
melodic
the
and had
streets,
like
right?
he had hooks and shit like that. You feel me? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was really saying that he was from the streets because I'm like me personally, like it was just like I don't understand. Even then, it's just like people say, it's just so many other factors in play. Like people could have seen him at the people at the Roscoe's could have set the
Yeah,
shit
people
up,
could have
all
seen
type of
him
shit.
and sent texts. Like it really doesn't matter if you post your location or not anymore. So,
Yeah, it's a lot of shit at play.
man. And then you got people like academics who are talking about, oh, his, they're uploading his last interview where he was talking about being robbed and about locations, and then what else? Academics was talking about rappers who are saying rest in peace, but necessarily when he was working, they weren't accepting verses from him or reaching out to work because he was cold.
Yeah.
But to me, it's kind of like, why put that information out there? Because this is the
Cause, but
game.
it's
This
just
is
like
people's
it's
careers.
just like I don't knock him for it because it just shows like niggas be really ready to show fake love, you know. Like that's what I
Right,
say. Like when a lot of people die, motherfuckers come out of the woodworks. Like yeah, I was just with bro. Ooh, like that's my homie. Like, but you didn't really show bro no love while you was here. You feel me?
right.
Like you ain't never repost his songs or get on the song with him. Like that's real shit. Like that's real. Like the man could have been possibly eating better than what he was if
Hmm.
motherfuckers actually working with him. You feel me?
Right.
Where he
And
ain't
then this
sitting
another
there in Roscoe's with no security and shit. You feel me?
right. And this another artist from Empire as well. Not to say that that's something that I really subscribe to, but I figured that was gonna come up. The first thing
Mm.
I did, I know sad to say, was look at his Wikipedia page to see what label he was on. Because recently, with these rappers dying, and it's been a lot recently, you know, people keep saying a lot of them are signed to Empire, or the majority are signed to Empire, or what's going on with these rappers signed to Empire. So it's a little conspiracy that's building up. But I looked, and he
Yeah,
was
I saw that
signed,
too.
and I saw some people did bring it up. So I was like, I already knew. I already knew this is where we was going at, with this conversation and whatnot. But hopefully what the conversation can lead to is, where do we go from here? How can we stop this? Because you're not seeing pop stars, country stars, you're not seeing movie stars, you're not seeing anyone else get killed at this rate.
Like yeah,
So,
rappers are getting killed at it, but it's just like it's the culture, you know. Like like somebody said, like I don't know if it was somebody at Run DMC was saying like, like we really didn't win the opposite of what hip hop was, and so it's just
Hmm.
like because it's that now it's just like it's a reflection. Like it's just like you got to think about it. The music is a reflection. It's supposedly a reflection of life. So those
Hmm.
things are going to continue to play out in life if the direction of music doesn't change. Because it's just like think about it. In the early 2000s, niggas was don't like niggas was shooting motherfuckers. Don't get me wrong, but niggas was also partying harder. Though you feel me? Like
Right.
it was always about good vibes because niggas had music that was perpetuating good vibes, and we
Hmm.
finna go turn up. You feel me? Now it's just like the
You
turn up
also
is
had
improved.
knowledge music, music about wanting to do better and
Yeah, like
things like that for sure.
yeah, and so it's like the music now is just like it's like pretty much just we gonna turn up, but we also gonna do violence with this shit. You feel me?
Hmm.
But it's just
It's a
like
fact.
so it's just like I don't know. Really, is there a solution? Because this is like the direction that hip hop is going. Like it's not gonna change.
Right. And it's almost like, who's benefiting from this as well, because there's people dying. Industry can still make money off their music while they're going.
Hmm.
Um, people eat up the violence and they eat up the kind of like drama, the constant drama all the time. I mean, it damn near benefits, other people to see, kind of like black people in disarray and then perpetuating that culture themselves almost. So I could also see like outside factors kind of pushing that, like, yo, because I've heard things where labels will tell somebody like, yo, start a beef or like why aren't you doing this or doing that or kind of pushing them to like name people in songs and things like that. So I think it's just gonna have to get to a point where things change and not just change in a way where it's like okay economically or you wait, but it's got to be a conscious effort to where I mean you've seen it where someone like Gucci and some other people are like I'm gonna stop dissing the dead or like all this in my lyrics is cap, blah blah blah. But it's gonna have to get to a point where people just consciously are like, you know what, let me tone this down. Let me switch to a few different lyrics in my songs and things like that. I mean, you could still be edgy, sure, but right, it gets to a point where somebody like even like a Quando Rondo, right? His man got killed recently with him like around, and now he's talking about he wants to quit the gang or he's done being a crip. But does it work like that?
You feel me?
Because he was definitely, kind of like hype and, recording videos and recording diss songs after Von passed to kind of antagonize the situation. But now that his man passed, now he wants to put
Change
down
his
the
life.
rag. Right. It's like I forgot I didn't know this. I didn't know this was a corporation you can just check out of. I didn't know you can
Yeah,
just say, "Hey, I'm tired of working today."
that's the crazy thing about all of this. Like that's the wild part.
But I think a
Like
lot of people are realizing that now. A lot of people are going to come to grips with that because it's easy to just, even like be like 6ix9ine or something like that. It's easy to just be young and be wild and be popping off of the mouth, saying whatever, no consequences. Seeing people around you get hit, violence and things like that, and you're just moving like this is what it is. I'm lit. I'm online. I'm getting these plays and these views. But when it really gets real, you're gonna start to see a lot of these people say, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore." Well, it's too
yeah,
late.
no, but that's the reality behind all of this. It's just like a lot of these people really not doing any of this thing, but they perpetuating that they are. Like
All right.
we we run into these people like we literally just like think about it. A lot of rappers talk about hoes and bitches, but they got wives at home and girlfriends.
Right. Right.
Like it's just like we got it's just like until the masses wake up and stop following the social media and following these people's lives and try to live their own lives and dictate what their actions is, not based off of what these other people's music is, then maybe
Hmm.
we can get somewhere in different direction. But it's just like, but like you say, the economics of everything is not going to change. Like it's just like think about it. We got to boost the economy in order to boost the mindset,
Right, right,
and
right.
that's a whole nother
That's
discussion.
way out of hip hop. That's something that's like
Exactly.
a global issue and things like that. So yeah, man, it's tough. It's
It's tough.
tough.
Exactly. Like it's really crazy because it's just like we have to truly. It's just like think about it. We have to, in order to really do this, like we have to engage the kids on all fronts. Like we have to engage the youth.
Hmm.
Like we have to create programs for them, things of that nature, and keep them out of the streets in order not to keep adding to the gang members. You feel me?
Right.
So it's
And
just
you
like
see
it's a lot.
the way that we're you know, the kind of like I guess trajectory we're on right now, topic wise, I kind of want to lead us into Illinois and Chicago. So that's
Yeah.
been in the news as well. There was rumors that O Block or Parkway Gardens was sold and was going to be torn down or you know gentrified. There's going to
Um.
be new buildings over there, but that got debunked as they said that was fake. So
Yeah, because I was gonna
um,
say I know like a couple of years ago or a year or two ago that the contract was up for like renewal or like to be bought, and so I know that they ended up doing right by it and getting it back, but I don't think that I don't think that anybody bought it. So it's just like that building's gonna stay up for a while, honestly.
right. Yeah, so you know, it was one of those things where people were kind of like, and this is the thing I didn't like. Okay, so like you know, we've seen buildings get torn down, we've seen people get spread out and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but people were kind of trying to couple it with this other Chicago story going around about you know Illinois and this quote unquote purge law that's going to go into effect in like January of 2023, which is basically ending cash bail. So what people are saying is because they're ending cash bail, that all these people are going to be let out on the streets. So they're acting as if the law says that hey, anything you do is
Yeah, and
okay or not punishable by law. But that's not really what people are
that's
saying.
not what it says at
Like you
all.
still have a case, you're still going to have to be tried and things like that. But it's one of those things where because you're ending cash bail, sure, you're going to see other people who get released or things like that. Um, but you know, when you talk about bail, how many times have we seen somebody who gets picked up for something that they didn't do? They're waiting in jail. They don't have enough money to post bail or get out, and now they've been sitting in jail for a whole long time. Their trial keeps getting delayed. By the time they finally do get trial, how many months have they spent in jail? And then
Exactly,
luckily,
and
if
that's the
they're
thing about
free,
it.
then it's like, damn, I just spent how many months in jail for nothing.
And
But
that's the thing about it. Like it kind of because think about it, the county was overcrowded during COVID. You feel me?
right.
And so it's just like it combats that issue of overcrowding the jail and
Hmm.
the county. You feel me? Like it
Yeah.
combats that issue, and then it's just like that. It keeps like people not in prison for being poor
Right.
because they can't afford bail money because they're not rich and they don't have the resources. But it's just like it keeps people out of jail for being poor. You feel me?
Yeah.
And it's just like to keep and then also to also combat overcrowdedness. Like, because some of these people do, like you say, a lot of people do end up in jail fighting cases for 4 or 5 years, and they're just going to trial. They haven't been convicted. They just can't go home.
Hmm. Right. So, you know, a lot of people are trying to be like, "Oh, that's a purge law, this, and that." But you can kind of like smell, you know, the racism in that line of thinking when you could just call it a purge law and you know you're kind of being disingenuous and what you're trying to like say or fight for and things like that. So I did see a lot of people say, "Yo, you see what they're trying to do, bro? The purge law, and then they're knocking down O Block. It's like they're just releasing all these people." But the funny thing is, like O Block is not a prison. So
It's
knocking
not.
down O Block doesn't do anything. Like these people can go and come freely. So you think like knocking down like the way that the person had said that, I'm like, man, that's crazy. I'm like, you really think that like knocking down O Block is coupled with whatever purge law thing you
You
think these
feel
people
me?
are gonna
Like that's
go
just
around the city and
weird. It's
start
just
causing havoc? Like these people can already do what they want. So
What are you talking about exactly? Like, it's just weird thinking. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, people, it's just like people don't read and they don't research enough, and then it's just like they come up with these misconceptions, and then it just spreads throughout social media. Because I'm like, I didn't see like 5 people make videos like they're just letting out criminals, and I'm just like, first off, do you even live here?
Right,
Are you even located in the state of Illinois? Like, how are you even
right,
speaking on this topic? Like, shut the fuck up. But it's just like I say, like it's just to create hysteria and panic, and then like you say, create this kind of sense of tension
right.
where white people feel like they got to live on edge, or feel like they gonna like they're criminals outside.
And bro, it's been a whole lot of you remember the whole like defund the police, this and that,
Mm-hmm.
like Black Lives Matter. There's been like a whole lot of distrust, and not just among black people. Like, you see a lot of white people who believe that too, who see this, who say we need reform. So all these little scare tactics are things that are put in place to have the people say we need cops. We need
Yep.
this. You see, this is why
Yep.
we need
Exactly.
prison. We need more. We need more surveillance. It's all scare tactics. So, a couple serious topics for sure this week that we kind of had to get into and things like that. But not to like delve too deep into the dark and whatnot. We do got some good news and good announcements to get into. So, with that being said, Nintendo Direct was earlier this week, and there was definitely some I guess bombshells, some really big stories, like, some really like,
Big
oh shit, like they're
announcements.
really bringing this back. So I'm gonna just get into it, bro. Like GoldenEye 007 classic N64 title, one of these things that you've heard. If you haven't played it, you've heard it over the years, like
It's a classic.
video game legend. Like, yo, when are they gonna bring GoldenEye back? When are they gonna bring GoldenEye back? It's coming back. It's gonna be available on the Switch Online. You got multiplayer as well, and
Yep,
not
you gotta
only
have
that.
the expansion pass. So
Okay,
basically, you gotta have online with the expansion pass, which basically gives you like this kind of like a I don't know, like a ROM version of like Nintendo 64, but on your Switch. You feel me?
yeah,
And so that's how it's gonna run. But this one, the crazy thing is, it's gonna be remastered, better graphics, and then they're actually gonna do split screens for multiplayer. So it's just gonna be dope as fuck because we never had the split screens for multiplayer back in the original one. So it's just like Nintendo kind of like it's building on this nostalgia
hmm
lately with just coming back with the classics because they're actually gonna bring back
Zelda.
no, all the Mario parties, which is
Okay,
something
word,
crazy. Like
word.
they're bringing back Mario Party 1, 2, and 3,
Let's go.
And then both Pokemon Stadium.
Stadium. Right,
Yeah.
right,
So it's just like Nintendo's really hitting it hard. Because it's just like, hey, you'll be playing a new one. Like, damn, I really kind of wish I was playing Mario Party 3. Now you can switch over to that, and then you can play GoldenEye as well. The
right.
ultimate classic. I feel like they
Yeah,
also.
yeah, yeah. So not only is GoldenEye available, but there's definitely going to be a number of other titles that are also going to be available in that expansion pack as well. Um, so I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I gotta upgrade to premium just to play GoldenEye," but there's
Hey,
going to
it's
be
on.
other titles, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not like you
right.
also have Mario 64 on that motherfucker. Like it's a lot of other like I'm saying, like they making it worth it. So it's like
Yeah,
now it's time to it's like if you didn't have it, now it's probably the time to get it. Because it's like me personally, like I was just like, all right, they ain't got enough on there for me to grab it yet. Like I got my 64 still at the like in like
right,
in it wrapped up. So
right.
I'm like, I can
Pristine
always pull
condition.
you feel me pull that out and jump play it, but it's just like I don't got golden eye anymore. You feel me? So it's like now I'm like,
Right,
all right, I gotta get the expansion pass and play that. I'm
right.
like,
Gotta see
I'm
what's good.
exactly because I'm pretty sure they're gonna add Donkey Kong 64 at some point. You feel me? Like they
Hmm.
gonna add Banjo and Kazooie, all those joints, like those, like it's all coming. Like it's like the thing is, Nintendo shut down their 3DS systems and things like that, so they're bringing those Game Boy
Bringing that
Advance
back,
games.
so because they're
Yeah,
like, you
slowly,
know what?
slowly
Yeah,
but surely.
Right, like they shut down the servers and they shut down all that stuff, but they know it's like we're not going to leave you in the dark. If you're part of that Nintendo family, you'll just upgrade, you'll be with us. So,
You feel
I
me?
like it. I don't know, like so earlier when you were saying, bringing titles back, I said Zelda, Fire Emblem, and is that really bringing back or is that a new title?
Zelda is a new title.
Okay.
They're doing the new title, so basically, the new Zelda is going to be the sequel to Breath of the Wild, and it's called the Tears of the Kingdom. And so it's I haven't played Breath of the Wild all the way through with the expansion passes, so I'm
Yeah.
like I think I'll do it before the new one comes out because it gives me enough time.
Right.
Because I think it comes out like May or sometime like spring of next year, which
Hmm.
is a decent time for Nintendo to release that game, give us something to do for the summertime. And so it's just like, Breath of the Wild was just like breathtaking with just how you know, the playthrough was, the gameplay, like the features, like you had to pretty much build yourself, you had to build Link up in order to, get them to where you beat the game, And so it's just like it was one of those kind of feels where it's like it was like open world as well. And so, a lot of Zelda fans have been, pretty much waiting for this sequel. And so it's just like I feel like that's gonna be one of its big hits for next year. I don't know what else is coming out that they really announced. I know it was a couple Fire Emblem games, but I'm not a big Fire Emblem fan. I love Square Enix and what they do, but I don't love Fire Emblem. Like I was a
Right.
Final Fantasy. I played Final Fantasy, so that was more me. But
Hmm.
I know that's all in the same like family RPG and stuff like that.
Right, right. The open worlds and whatnot.
Yeah,
Um, so like you were saying, Nintendo's not letting up. They're bringing back all these classics and not just classics, but Nintendo 64 is almost looked at as one of the best consoles of all time. Not just because of, the innovation and what it was at the time, but the library as well. So them
yeah,
slowly bringing back this library, you kind of see the strategy being used here because Nintendo, like we was saying earlier before we started recording, Nintendo is what they consistently always have the number one selling console, even though a lot of people always want to talk about PlayStation versus Xbox, who's winning, blah blah blah, but you always are kind of overlooking Nintendo in these
Nintendo,
quote unquote
exactly.
console wars. So the Switch has outsold both these consoles by a long shot, and for them to now start funneling in titles from N64 to not only keep you playing on your Switch, but to promote that premium subscription. It's like, all right, now you're even winning more.
Yeah, I always say, but it's like I always say this. See, I say
Right,
once you get hooked on Nintendo, you kind of hooked
right,
on Nintendo for life. Like you
right.
will get a PlayStation or an Xbox, but it's just like you'll be hooked on Nintendo for life.
Right.
Like it's a weird kind of thing. Like it's just like they've really learned to market a
Yeah, you become
lifetime.
part of the family. You become part of the
Exactly. It's like
Nintendo family. Like you
them.
can't. That was my first console, Nintendo 64, and I was mad loyal. I was mad loyal. I'm gonna say like every other generation, I was always like, nah, Nintendo, Nintendo. I'm getting
Man,
Nintendo.
because
Like
I'm
I
like,
gotta
that's why
stick
I
with
said after you had the
Nintendo.
Nintendo, you went right to
Right.
the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy SP. Like, I'm just like, it's like the thing is, I feel like it was just, they did right by having those handhelds
Hmm.
that it was just like, you couldn't, that was the part where PlayStation and Xbox couldn't
Right. It
compete
was
because
like gaming on the go and things like that.
exactly,
PlayStation tried with the PSP, but we see somehow maybe it
them
was
bitches
too
is
ahead
not
of its
durable.
time. Right, right. Not durable. That's what it is. That's what it
It,
is.
you know, like I love, like honestly, like I love the PlayStation P, but it's just like the PSP, but it's just like that shit was just not durable, like at all. Like
Right,
you dropped that motherfucker, it was over with.
right. You
$200 down the drain.
we talk about drift nowadays, but it was probably pretty bad back then with the little joystick that they had. You could have hit like a rage move in one of your games and now your joystick
Oh, it's fucked
is
up for
all
me, ho.
mangled. Right, it's done. Or like you
It's
said, you
done.
drop it, you drop it and now the disc reader is crazy. You hear it scratching your disc up like, but
Like
like
it was smart. It
Nintendo,
was a good idea,
yeah,
but it just wasn't thought through. Like I'm like, if they would have came out with that like now with an innovative version of it, they could fuck some shit
right,
up. But they just
right,
not really. They on the console worlds
right,
between them and
right.
Xbox that they all both losing. But
Right.
it's just like
They
it's
just
like
not focusing on Nintendo. And then meanwhile, while all this is going down, we talking about GoldenEye, but GoldenEye is also going to be available on Xbox
yeah,
or the Xbox
one
what's it called?
streaming, one pass, the
Yeah, the
Xbox.
Xbox Online and things like that. So,
Yeah,
I was asking you earlier, I was like, to my knowledge, I'm pretty sure this is a Nintendo title. I
but
mean, of
I was
course
gonna
it's
say,
with Rare. It's
but
with
I was gonna say,
Rare,
but
so
it's
it's not really
actually it actually isn't the first thing that I think that they done because I think that they
okay.
did Banjo and Kazooie
Word.
on Xbox One.
Xbox.
Yeah, on
Okay.
Xbox, the other previous system, because they had, they actually have license to the company that
Yeah, with
made
Rare,
Banjo and
right?
Kazooie. And so yeah, and
Rareware.
so like they were
Yeah,
able to put that game on the system, and I think they have it
word.
on like the online and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because that's where I was like, and that's the thing. Maybe Nintendo's not eating off of it because this is mostly rare or something like that,
yeah.
or rare limited or whatever it is. But at the same time, I was like, yo, Nintendo expanding almost like they got titles on Xbox as well. Like you can't stop them. You can't stop them at this
Hey,
point.
but it's like that's really what it is. Just think about it. It's just like you know where that game comes from. So it's just like you gonna
Hmm.
always be like, man, bro, we remember we was playing this shit on the 64. Like,
And Nintendo, they're still eating off Pokemon Go, right? Or are
Pokemon
they?
Go is I feel like Pokemon
Or
Go is
Pokemon Go is
good.
just Pokemon?
Yeah, it might just be just Pokemon.
Okay.
I don't know if Nintendo has a license in that, but I know you can connect it to some of your games. So I'm like, it has
Right.
to be some type of way that they eat off of it, you know?
Unless
Like,
Pokemon, or unless Nintendo bought Niantic or whatever,
uh,
or
I
maybe
don't know because
Pokemon
they
bought
actually are
Niantic.
having.
Someone bought them, right?
Yeah, I know someone bought them, but I'm like, the thing is, they actually are diving into so many other like games. Like Niantic is just like they got a Pinkman game coming out. I know
Ah,
they had
word.
like a Harry Potter game, you know. So
Hmm.
it's like they going crazy.
Speaking of Pikmin, they said Pikmin 4 is coming back as well.
Yep, on the Switch, I can't wait. I'm like, that's gonna
Hmm.
be dope as fuck. I think the
Right,
last time I actually played that was on like the GameCube.
right, right.
So I'm
Back
just
then,
like,
for real,
yeah, I guess I'm
them
like,
games was
it's
crazy.
crazy. So I'm just like, that's what I'm saying. Like Nintendo, and this is like the thing is, I feel like even we'll get. I mean, PlayStation really don't make no. They like the thing about it. We've been playing the same Grand Theft Auto for so many fucking consoles.
Right, right.
So it's just like I feel like the thing is Nintendo takes their time, but this is like they kind of do it at a faster pace than PlayStation and Xbox One. Because I don't think we ever get another fucking Midnight Club Dub Edition ever.
I
And
was just
then
thinking about Need for Speed. I mean, I know that's a different game, but it's like I haven't
it's
seen any
like
of these
exactly
racing
that shit was
games in a
cold.
minute. Right.
Yeah. I'm like we keep getting the fucking Assassin's Creeds and shit, but
Hmm.
in 2K, but it's just like we ain't getting
All
shit
right,
like
2K, 2K. What do we think about 2K? Because I seen the
I didn't
cover and
play it.
it's
I've seen it, but
J.
I
Cole
I
on
I,
there,
I think
the Dreamer edition.
my 2K days are long gone, long gone.
You're not gonna play as J. Cole?
Hell no, I'm not playing this shit. Fuck, am I playing like
The Dreamer
that?
edition,
That
I'm dead. But
that's
nah,
like
I mean like
that's like setting up for Drake to be in that shit next year.
you know how it go. So what's really good then with 2K? Because a lot of people are saying this. Like when did it fall off? Like was it last year, 2 years ago?
I think
Because
2K15 was like the last good 2K.
right. Because they talking about mechanics change, this changes, that changes, something's not smooth anymore, or they got unnecessary things in the my player journey and or the my player
Somebody
story and
told me
things
that the
like
My
that.
Story, the people that make 2K are all white, so that the My Player story be awkward as hell.
Oh, bro, they had something where like I saw something where like somebody like shot a three or something, and then they started doing the woo walk. like Fabio or something like that. They was like, someone was like, "Yo, what's going on over at 2K, bro?" Like,
Man, they tweaking hard, buddy.
all right, they
They got to
trying
get it
hard to
together.
be culture, but you know how it goes. Like, it's definitely new game season out here.
Yeah, but I'm like, man, honestly, I do want to get a PS4. I mean PS5 for that a Harry Potter joint that's coming out.
They
That's
got a
really dope.
open world game.
Yeah, it's gonna be like an open world Harry Potter game. You come to Hogwarts, pick your class, all type of shit. Like that shit. But it was supposed to come out this year, but they delayed it till next year. So I'm just like, I got time
You got
still.
some time, right? Right. Hopefully by then it's a couple more PS5s in stock.
And then I'm like, I hope that they eventually announce like a Sly Cooper 4. I don't know if you ever played that one, like the raccoon
Nah, I was
thief.
gonna add. Okay, I think I've seen it. I think
Like
I've seen
Sly
it.
Cooper,
I'm looking
yeah,
it
he
up.
like it was like a raccoon thief, and you like had to go steal shit. Like that shit used to be cold as fuck. I played that in Ratchet and Clank, but I know they got a new Ratchet and Clank out on the PS5 that people were saying
Right.
was pretty
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
And then I know that Sonic got a new joint coming out for all systems that they were talking about. Um, it's supposed to be an open world game, I think, as well.
Hmm.
The graphics look amazing. I just don't know if I'm gonna play it because I'm just like I'm so used to the cartoony ass Sonic.
Yeah. I got a
I don't
game on PlayStation. I'm not sure if it's multi console yet, but it's called DC Multiverse or something. It
Oh,
looks
the
exactly
multi,
like
yeah,
Smash
that shit's
Bros.
cold.
That's crazy. It's a crazy game. It looks exactly like Smash Bros, but just, the different characters. So I'm like,
Something
like
different.
if right, it's something different. Like if some of these consoles want to keep doing that and getting more licenses, I ain't mad at it.
Hey,
Bringing
I
more
mean, because
characters
think
in the
about it,
fight.
shit. It was surprising even with the Smash Bros. Ultimate roster that we got, like the DLC characters, like we got end up
Right.
getting Buddy from, we got Banjo and Kazooie in that joint. End up getting
Hmm.
Buddy from Kingdom of Hearts. Like it was crazy. So
Right.
it's just like
Right. Right.
it was dope. Like so it's like to see like them do like a Cartoon Network, Warner Brothers was joining that. It was just dope. Like I fuck with it. And then it also
Right.
just seems like, because it's like it seemed like one of those games that would be like a online mod of Smash Bros, but it's like actual
Hmm.
official license. And so that's dope.
Right, right, right. And they got a few different things in there and stuff like that to differentiate it. But I'm never
Mhm.
mad at a fighting game. I'm never mad at it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you
but
mentioned the fighting games. I think Tekken 8, Unreal Engine.
Tekken 8,
Yeah.
Unreal Engine. A
So
lot of
yeah.
people are going crazy. Shout out Khalil from the Discord. He going crazy talking about, oh, no one can see him in Tekken, this and that. So you already know the court is about to
Man,
flare up, bro.
I dust my controller off and get back in it. I'm
Low
like, bro,
key.
I'm
I know y'all used
G
to have that back at the
Tekken,
crib.
and then what
Right.
was the other shit? Dead or Alive?
Yeah.
Niggas was not
Yeah.
fucking with me in
Y'all used to
Tekken
go
Dead or
crazy.
Alive for real. Like Dead or Alive, that's what I really want to see another one
Right.
of. Dead or
Right.
Alive. Like they
Right.
bring that shit back. Oh, it's gonna be busting.
Right. On and popping.
I don't
Sheesh.
know anybody can get the word.
Let me see this. Dead or alive.
That shit used to be crazy. Niggas used to be ready to throw hands over Dead or Alive.
Yeah, this was a serious game. Produced by Tecmo. Last game was in 2019, Dead or Alive 6.
That's what I'm saying. They got to come out with a new one.
Yeah.
New.
Yeah, they
It's
slacking right
time,
now.
huh?
Yeah. I said they slacking.
Yeah,
It's
they
it's it's
slacking.
been it's been enough time. It's been enough time for sure. Sheesh, speaking of enough time, what do we think is going to happen with this Grand Theft Auto 6? Because we've seen that their remaster of, was it 5 that they were releasing? Wasn't too good at all.
What?
Or was it the Vice City remaster? Rockstar.
Oh, the new Grand Theft Auto for the PlayStation 5.
Right,
I
yeah.
mean, it's just gonna be the same shit. Like it's just like it ain't gonna be nothing totally different, but it's just like
Right,
it's gonna be better graphics on another system. Like
right,
everybody, like that's what I said. A lot of people not really going crazy over it because they still got their Grand Theft Auto Online on their PS4s.
right.
So it's just like they still playing that shit. But then it's just like I said, everybody's anticipating this Grand Theft Auto 6. Like that's what
Hmm.
everybody's waiting for. So I feel like unfortunately Rockstar can just keep on doing whatever the fuck they want to do, but we just waiting on Grand Theft Auto 6.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that shit's been in the works for a minute. And kind of to get a little transition away from video games for the last, you know, few minutes or so. What's been in the works for a minute now that's kind of getting good reviews is this Game of Thrones series, this continuation. I know you've been tapped in. Like,
Hey,
so
yeah.
what's really good with this, bro? Like,
Hey,
so
this
they're
shit
not
is actually, man.
what I hear is that they're not following six families or five families, they're just following one, and it's
Yeah, they're
more
just
like
following the
fast paced.
Targaryens. So basically, the family that we didn't really get to see, the Targaryens, because they basically were like wiped out.
Yeah.
We get to see the early days of that family, and so
Okay.
we see the king. Basically, it's Viserys and his brother Daemon. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Viserys was like the second cousin of like the original Targaryen king or some shit like that, and he got picked to actually take the throne because dude didn't have no heirs. And so like now it's following up into the days that's gonna be where did they say they leading up to the generational war. So this
Hmm.
war that lasts a whole generation.
Right.
And what they basically do in these first episodes is lay the foundations of the characters that are going to be in this generational war. So we see the daughter of the series, which is Rhaenyra, and his brother Damon. And so Rhaenyra is a young girl. But we know that based off of Game of Thrones, she's going to be eventually Damon's wife. And so like that's what I'm like these next couple episodes is like this next episode is supposedly like a time, like somebody told me a time jump is going to happen eventually. Because they're like that. We're not just like somebody said, like they're focused more on the generational war part as opposed to developing the characters. You feel me? Like we were trying to
Right.
they trying to get into bread and butter early as opposed to Grand Game of Thrones build up the characters. You feel me?
Hmm.
Because I was just talking like even when I was rewatching it, I was like, man, it's so crazy. I remember like sitting over in Irving Park, you know, on the couch and y'all watching the Battle of the Bastards, and I think it
Yeah.
was like I think the episode we actually did watch was the dark the night the actual long night episode.
Yeah, yeah. Was
Yeah,
it the
and so
Hold the
it was so
Door?
crazy because I think we had the 4K TV and we was like we
Going
can't see
crazy.
shit, and so
Right.
it's just
Dark as
like
fuck.
like they remastered it and everything, and so it's like I really watched it in the dark and it was like the best thing ever. It was so
Right.
crazy, and so it's just like I have a better appreciation for the series.
You already
And
finished
so
your rewatch?
yeah,
All right, because I saw you tweet out like, "Yo, I know y'all paying." I was like, "Damn, he probably got disappointed again at
I
the."
mean, I didn't. It's like even at the end, I didn't get really disappointed because it's just like they didn't leave on a note where the world was ended. You feel me? Like
Right.
everybody's story was done. You feel me? Because it's just like that was the part about it that I like. Like you can still like there could still be a part about Arya Stark. You know, I know we get a Jon Snow sequel, so it's just like
Right.
that's something I look forward to because after watching it again, I had a more better appreciation for his character out of everybody.
Hmm.
Him and Tyrion, which is kind of crazy.
Right. So, I mean, look, I'm definitely I gotta tap in because I've only
I
tapped
was
into
just
a
saying, and
few
then the
episodes
best
from the
part about the
first
new
joint.
joint is it's more
Right.
dragons. Like you get to see more
Right.
dragons. Like
Right.
I
So they
feel
knew
like
what it was. They were like, we gotta come back and we gotta do something because they don't want to just leave off on I guess where they were beforehand and whatnot. But
yeah, and
that
then it's just
is
like I feel like it also has something to play. Like I didn't even know like the book series actually isn't done. So it's just like I don't know if they like consulted with him to finish the series how they did, or is this stuff that they did in the series actually going to occur in the books? Like it's something like that's the question that I've been having since I finished rewatching and just doing a little bit of research on the series and diving into the new one because apparently like there's a lot of different books and things of that nature.
right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Who is it? Is it Tolkien?
Hmm?
No, that's Tolkien is Lord of the Rings.
Oh, you
It's
like
R.
him?
R. Martin. It's George R. R. Martin. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely got his. I mean, that was something that was going on when the last show was out, when they blaze right past the books, and it was like, all right, he's still finishing the books and things like that. So people are waiting for that. But since I mentioned Tolkien, are you tapped into the Lord of the Rings show?
I haven't started it yet. That's what I was like. I was actually talking to Mike about it. He was like, "Bro, you gonna start?" I was like, "Man, I don't know if I want to wait till they actually finish
He's
it."
watching it.
I think he's gonna watch it, yeah. And so it's just like I
Okay,
always been
okay.
a Lord of the Rings fan, so I'm like, I fuck with Lord of the Rings, like the elves and the wizards, and basically like Lord of the Rings always been like this big ass RPG to me, like an actual
Yeah.
like movie RPG. You feel me? Like that's what it plays out to be in my head. And so it's just like I can't wait to like I want to see the new one. I just don't know if I'm gonna start it now, um, or either wait till it actually finishes and then watch it all as a whole. Because I'm like I think they're doing weekly episodes as well. And then I think they
Hmm.
gonna see like episode 4 or 5. So they still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
But I'm like all I've been hearing is good reviews, just because of the amount of money and time that they put into the series.
Right, right. I know one person from the court, Luca, he was talking about how the new series is not necessarily going to follow the books
Mm.
like super closely. So, he's one of those guys where like, I'm not going to tune in because it's not canon and things like that. But, when you're talking about they're putting in a lot of this money, I might still want to tune in just to kind of see
I
what
mean,
their
yeah,
vision
I'm
is and
tuning in
things like that.
regardless if it's not canon because it's just like
All
it's
right.
Lord of the Rings. It's just like it's
Hmm.
more content. I feel like that was one of the series. Like I feel like that was one of the franchises that was up there with Star Wars, but
Yeah.
they never put out a lot of stuff, and so it's good to see that the fandom is building itself back up.
And Star Wars got a new series out, right? Something.
Well, they coming out with new stuff. They dropping soon. Like the Andor series is gonna be dropping soon.
Yeah.
On Disney Plus. Mandalorian, they showed the trailer for that at the Disney Expo.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's like Disney, like Star Wars has a lot of stuff that's coming out probably in the next year or two
Right.
because
Right. So.
they got the Ahsoka series as well.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right. They're not playing around for sure. For sure. And other than that, I think the only final news is that what Marvel is talking about Phase 5 recently. Just kind of got some more announcements or more news about Phase 5, where they're trying to go.
yeah, we got like I think they showed like the title. They announced the Thunderbolts, which was kind of decent. I was excited for the team, but I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Um,
What happened?
no Abomination. I was thinking that they would actually bring him back.
Okay.
It's just like
Okay.
you hype him, like it's kind of like you kind of built this character up in the She-Hulk series, like, and I'm like, okay, cool, he can be in the Thunderbolts. Like the Thunderbolts don't have the Red Hulk because the actor that played General Ross passed, so I don't think you recast him. So it's just like because he was
Right.
actually really good, but you don't actually utilize the characters that you have at your arsenal. Like you bring this guy back for this series, but it's just like you clearly, basically, like it's gonna be like a Call of Duty motherfucking movie. Like
Right.
honestly,
Right.
like it's like it'll be good, like to see like I guess the Winter Soldier. Like that's pretty
Hmm.
much it, and then um what's her name? Florence Pugh. She's the new
Yeah.
Black Widow. Like I'm like those are the only two people. And then David Harbour, I'm a fan since he's in Stranger Things. But other than that, I'm just like, y'all could have went kind of crazy with this roster. Like y'all could have put
Hmm.
Abomination in here to replace the Red Hulk. But it's just like or something like y'all didn't think it through.
Right.
But but it's just like it's with Marvel. It's just like you just have to see what you doing. But the crazy Marvel news that I got was that the Duffer Brothers actually met with Kevin Feige on actually bringing up the Stranger Things cinematic universe.
Okay.
They're going to call it the STCU.
To where?
So basically, I'm pretty sure it's going to be on Netflix because
Okay.
they got a lot of deals with
But
Netflix.
they want Feige to help them build it.
Yeah, they're getting. I feel like they're getting advice on how to build it and tie it all together. Because
Hmm.
I feel like the upside down is like I always said, the upside down has to expand across the world. You know, it just can't be
Right.
one part of the upside down that exists.
Hawkins, right.
Yeah. So it's just like it's gonna be interesting to see how this upside it basically what it because it's like they have I think what it was announced as well is like they have upside down studios or productions or something. So we know
Hmm.
that the upside down is gonna be what ties all these characters or
Right.
situations together. So it's like that'll be dope, you know, because it could potentially, you know, have us leave Hawkins, go to a different place, get new
Hmm.
characters, and then they eventually come back and interact with our characters at Hawkins, you know,
Right, right. News stories and things like that.
like
We
that.
already kind
Exactly.
of seen them kind of like bring in Russia and things like that. So
Yeah.
sure, they can like tie in a few other places.
Mhm.
Um, but you had you early I you had mentioned She-Hulk, and I had to ask, you know, did you see the clip
What
with
clip?
Megan the Stallion?
Oh yeah, I watched the episode.
Oh man.
Like, I actually watched the series. Like
Is
it's
it a
not a bad.
missed opportunity? Is it a missed opportunity that when She-Hulk was twerking, that nothing was like really shaking or rumbling or like
I mean,
glasses
she's
breaking
not.
and
I don't
things
think
like
she's
that?
like even in the comics. She's not thick. Like I don't
Right.
understand why niggas had this perception that she's supposed to be
Just
thick.
because she's like a superhuman, so it's like any
I'm like,
small movement from her is going to be like, exaggerated. Like,
yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like niggas is just overhyping shit. You know, it's just like
and
it's
then,
like over sexualizing shit as well. It's
right?
like think about it. You got
Did
to
they
see
even
Megan
do
shake
too
her.
much?
It's like you got to see Megan shake her ass in a Disney series. Like you should be satisfied.
True, but when you say the over sexualization, did they even do too much having that scene in general? Bringing Megan into the universe and then
I
only having
mean,
her twerk.
no, I feel like it's just like the thing is this series is not like any other series, and it's just like that's the play on it. Like it's not like it don't work on a special guest, but it kind of does work on a special guest. Like the special guest makes the episode. You feel me? Like the first couple episodes is about the abomination, and so we see him. Then we see the situation with Meg the Stallion, and so it's like it's kind of funny as hell that Meg the Stallion actually shows up in the episode after being impersonated the whole time,
Yeah.
and that's what the episode is about. So it's just like it's just like what She Hulk the series is it's not a actual I feel like people want a superhero series and it's not that you feel me like we got
Hmm.
enough action in the last couple episodes but it's just like it's She-Hulk attorney at law not She-Hulk smashing the
Superhero, right?
smashing
Right.
law you feel me like
So
it's not
in the
that
comics, was she always attorney at law, or is this like a new
yeah like, and
angle?
that's the thing about it like that's what I'm saying people obviously don't even read the comics because at the end of the day in a she breaks the fourth wall literally in the comics. She does the same thing, and it's just like it focuses on her law career as opposed to her career. Like if we want to see She-Hulk in action, then ask for an A-Force movie. You feel me?
Right.
Ask for that. Like she's in, and the thing is, she's actually in the current roster for the Avengers, and then like in a couple series, in a couple comics that I've read. So it's just like she most likely will be in the Avengers movies.
Right.
It's just like just wait. Like it's just like just enjoy the introduction to the character and enjoy the series. Like and then it's just like think about it. Enjoy something that's an actual different change of pace to these superhero movies. Cause I'm like, even after watching Thor, I was like, okay, it's starting to get boring. Like this shit
Right.
is repetitive. Like, oh, it's a superhero, a super villain with an issue. They fight, and one of them loses.
Hmm.
Like it's getting repetitive, you know. So it's just like
Right.
the fact that she's doing something different, like taking on weird ass superhero problem cases. It's dope, you know. It's like it's a different change of pace. Kind of
Right.
reminds me of WandaVision, you know, like where the
Keep,
first couple episodes were like based off of different TV series. Like it's dope.
right.
Like it's a different change of pace.
Keep
But
people
I'm like,
tied in and whatnot.
exactly. But I'm like, eventually, I know, like by episode 4 or 5, we're gonna actually get into a gist of what's going on with the actual universe and why
Hmm.
this series matters. You know,
Right. Right.
because
Hey,
the
I'm
same
not
thing
mad
happened
at
with
it.
yeah. Because I'm like, the thing is, like, they put hints that of Wolverine in the series. You know, so
Hmm.
it's just like they're doing little small things to build up these things that we want. Like we didn't get any announcements for the X-Men and things like that, but we know that mutants exist in the universe, and we know that Wolverine does exist in their universe at this point, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So we
So
gotta know. So we gotta know that the X-Men exist along with the Fantastic Four and things of that nature, you know. So it's just like
right,
it's shit like
right.
that.
So basically, just seeing how they get tied into this, like, are do they have to get represented in the case, or are they going to be brought up in the case, or does she have to dip out and help
Yeah,
them
because I'm like
or
the thing is that
something?
the biggest special guest is going to be Matt Murdock in Daredevil. Like
Hmm.
he's going to show up in this series at some point, and that's going to be very interesting, you know.
Yeah,
And so I feel like that's going to be, a big plus for the series. On top of it's just like it's good to see that they bring in, you know, the Daredevil back, and then it's just like it builds anticipation for his series and whatever other stuff that he's gonna be in.
right, right. So with that said, like we always do at this time, what track is we throwing at the end of this episode?
You might as well throw on PBN Rock, his latest
Yeah,
single. Throw that on, get him some streams. You know that was
for
independent
sure, for
song.
sure. Right, right. I did see that his song "Selfish" was, I think, number one on Apple or iTunes or something like that.
Mhm.
So especially at times like this, you do see an influx in streams and things like that. But yeah, his family will be hurting for some time. So definitely tap in with his music, and we're gonna throw that at the end of this episode once again. Uh, rest in peace, PNB Rock, and let's try to do better. Let's try to do better, hip
Let's
hop.
do better. Exactly.
Pod,
All right.
episode 82. Peace.